is Vincent from Merwe, and I manage the Cheetah Metapopulation project. Today we're going to be showing you behind the scenes of what typically goes into a wild cheetah relocation. So what is a metapopulation? A metapopulation is basically a population of populations. So we work with 70 populations of cheetah. In any one of these populations we could have overpopulation, we could have inbreeding, we could have local extinction. So my job is basically to move the cheetahs between these reserves to prevent inbreeding, overpopulation and underpopulation. But over the past 25 years in South Africa, we've really witnessed something incredibly special. Despite all the economic development, despite doubling human populations, exponential human population growth, we've managed to double our lion, wild dog and cheetah numbers, and we've stumbled across a recipe to conserve large apex predators in the context of 21st century Africa. When apartheid ended in South Africa, there were changes in our legal system which allowed landowners to privately own wildlife. Private landowners could derive financial income from reintroducing large predators and all the other game species. In 1960, we had 2 cheetah reserves in the whole of South Africa, just 2, and we had only 400 wild cheetahs left in the country. And with the establishment of all these privately owned game reserves, the number of cheetah reserves has now increased to over 70. When apartheid ended, there was a massive influx of tourists into the country, and these tourists brought with them foreign exchange. And they were willing to pay up to $1,000 a night to experience our wildlife, to see our elephants, to see our lions, cheetahs, to stay in high-end lodges. With this influx of tourism, it became financially more profitable to practice ecotourism than agriculture. And we saw this major change in land use. From agriculture, off went the cattle, sheep and goats, and on came the historically occurring mammals. And we saw these mass reintroductions: rhinos, elephants, leopards, cheetahs, lions, wild dogs. This brought with it numerous social, economic and environmental benefits. From an environmental perspective, the naturally occurring species were back, and we saw vultures return, insects that would not normally occur in cultural landscape coming back, and we saw the state creating a whole lot of new protected areas as well, which were also reintroducing all these species. From a social perspective, it was really wonderful to see how the number of people employed per unit area increased under the ecotourism model, because all of these reserves now needed lodge managers, lodge staff, anti-poaching units, fencing teams, road maintenance teams, reserve management, and the wages of those staff also increased compared to what was being paid out on these livestock farms historically. So from an economic perspective and from a social perspective and from an environmental perspective, this was an absolute win. And the number of privately owned game reserves and state-owned game reserves in South Africa is increasing because it is financially profitable to do so. So when I started working on this project in 2011, we had 217 cheetah on 41 reserves. We're currently on about 514 cheetahs on 71 reserves. We still got a lot more exciting reintroductions to look forward to. We're doing cross-continental reintroductions now. Cheetah used to occur historically in Asia. We're now introducing the first batch of wild cheetahs into India, which is very exciting. And we sincerely hope that the Indians also derive the same benefits that we derived in this country from a social, economic, environmental perspective. The reason why we're performing this particular relocation is overpopulation, as well as a threat of inbreeding. So we have a group of 8 cubs, which we refer to as the Miracle 8 on Dinokeng Game Reserve. They've now reached adulthood, and we need to remove them from Dinokeng because the only breeding options on Dinokeng will either be their siblings or their parents. Because there's 8 of them and 8 cheetah can take their toll on prey populations, we also need to remove them to prevent cheetah overpopulation. To think that there's 2 females in this group of 8, if they had to give birth next year, those females can give birth to up to 5 cubs each, which means our population could very quickly increase to unsustainable levels. Basically, the Miracle 8 are quite an interesting group of cheetah. About 18 months ago, we had two beautiful females on Dinokeng Game Reserve. Unfortunately, we lost the one to lion. A lion walked into her on a windy day and she didn't see the danger approaching, and she was killed. A second female on Dinokeng was caught in a snare. So there's a lot of impoverished communities living on the outskirts of Dinokeng that set snares to catch bushmeat. But when we looked closely at the collar data, because all of these cheetahs have GPS collars on them, we noticed that they were denning, which means that they had probably given birth to a litter of cubs. When we approached these dens, we found 2 litters, one of 3 cubs and one of 5 cubs. So these are the Miracle 8 cheetah. Now we're going to show you what a typical cheetah relocation entails. Our work starts in the lab. We obviously need to keep track of the genetic diversity of the cheetahs that we are managing. Is our diversity increasing, decreasing? For us to understand that, we regularly have to work with the Sandby Genetics Laboratory, hand in samples, and hopefully our diversity is increasing because we need more genetic variability in our cheetah populations so that they can fight various diseases in future, so that they can adapt to the changes in climate in future that we anticipate. Next, we get the crates ready so that we can get head start in the morning and a good night's rest, because we've got a long day of travel ahead of us. We arrive at the scene with the 8 cheetahs already darted, and it really now is go time. We've got to collect genetic material, we've got to collar these cheetah, we've got to identify the males from the females, we've got to make sure we're sending the correct cheetah to the correct reserves. We need to microchip them so that if we do lose them one day, we know exactly who we've lost, because that information is within those cheetahs. Unfortunately, one of the cheetahs, one of the 8 cheetahs, has been injured. Looks like it could have been a lion that nipped the leg of the cheetah. So hopefully this cheetah will recover in the Boma period, the 3-week Boma period, before it's relocated to another reserve. So the reason why reserve management intervened saving these cubs when they lost their mothers was they have valuable genetics. So these cheetah have Waterberg's and Namibian genetics. We're going to be spreading those genes around the country. 2 females are going to Gondwana in the Western Cape, a 12,000 hectare reserve there. We've got 4 males earmarked for reserve in the Waterberg region, and then we've got another 2 males earmarked for a Rietspruit, which is out in the Hoedspruit area. So we're going to be sending the genetics far and wide, and hopefully they'll propagate there and continue to do well. So yes, Dinokeng's been very interesting. We released Cheetah here in 2012. Initially we were a little skeptic because it was a new reserve. It was previously all these small plots that had come together, and all this infrastructure all over the place. And was it going to work? And it turned out to be one of our most successful cheetah reserves. We've removed 24 surplus cheetahs from Dinokeng in just 8 years. So it's been a high loss, high yield reserve. So we've experienced a lot of mortalities here. We've lost a lot of cheetah to lion. It's a high density human population surrounding this reserve, so there are a lot of anthropogenic snaring mortalities. The one thing about working in conservation is just this wonderful people, and everyone pulls together and everyone does their bit and everyone wants to help, and it's really so wonderful to see how everyone pulls together in a situation like this. And we got all 8 cats started and loaded. And now we've got a 14-hour drive ahead of us. It's going to be through the night. It's going to be quite painful. Here's another one. Yeah, gosh, that was quite an experience. It's always so hectic. You come in there with all kinds of plans and this is how you're going to do it, and You know, when the darts go in and the cheetah are down and there's 8 of them, I mean, it's just total chaos. And you got to fit collars, you got to take bloods, you got to get fluids into them because they've got a 14-hour journey ahead of them. So you got to hydrate them. You're working against the clock because the immobilization drugs only work for a certain amount of time, and some were darted before others, and it's just total chaos. Got precious cargo on the back, so we got a bit of adrenaline to keep us going. Yeah, we'll win in the end. Thankfully, our 14-hour drive has beautiful views, lovely weather for transport, and some curious petrol attendants. They were chatting to each other the whole way. So cheetahs, they make a bird-like sound, but because they're the weakest of the large predators, they don't roar or growl like a leopard does, and that has basically evolved to keep them. End of a very long day. Killed something shortly before they were immobilized because they've made a hell of a mess in the back of the crates. 1 hour into the trip, we could already smell that they were doing their business in the back. The frustrating thing, you know, when you obviously transporting cheetahs is, you know, you can't really stop and have a lunch. You know, you got to pretty much go the whole time. So you stop and you fill up for fuel and you grab a quick bite to eat. So it's been a day of burgers and pizzas and driving non-stop. And yeah, we got through a few podcasts and listened to some good music. I caught up with the news. We can tell you everything about what's going on in the Ukraine war. We're going to open the crates now. This is the most enjoyable moment, the cherry on top. The accumulation of all the hard work comes together in one moment. So when you open those crates and you set them free. So yeah, may they do well here. They're going to have a tough time here because it's a different habitat, different prey species. They're going to see animals that they've never seen before. Prey animals, they're going to learn to catch them, kill them. They're going to learn how strong they are, how dangerous their horns are. There's lions, of course, here. There's leopard here, brown hyena. So they're going to get used to all the different competing predators. They probably haven't seen a brown hyena before, but they've certainly seen lion and leopard. So yes, we can only hope they do well, and even if they struggle initially, and even if we lose 1 or 2, there are 3 individuals in the back here, so we can be pretty certain that their genetics will be established on this reserve. Yeah, exciting times ahead. The cheetah are released into a boma or a holding facility. So whenever we relocate cheetahs, we have to do this to break their homing instinct. Like all other cat species, cheetah have a homing instinct, which means that they incline to walk back to where they originally come from. This also allows them to get used to their new environments, to become familiar with all the new animals in the new reserve. Basically increases their chances of survival. Got another layer there that you got to know. Are you sure? Yes, so we finally got these three boys out of the crates. They exited very nicely, very relaxed. They're going to be wonderful tourism animals. They very relaxed around tourism vehicles. So yes, yeah, that's the unfortunate reality. With ecotourism outcompeting agriculture in a place like this. I mean, 20 years ago, this would have been cattle area. But these cheetahs now have to essentially pay their rent through good game viewing. So as you can see with those three boys, they are really going to be wonderful tourism animals. Yeah, let's hope they do well. And I suppose only time will tell. After we've relocated the cheetah, we often have to clean the very messy transport crates. In the case of this relocation, unfortunately the Miracle 8 consumed an antelope the day before we relocated them. So the job isn't always glamorous, and sometimes we have to go and clean those stinky crates with high pressure hoses to make sure that they are ready for the next relocation. My name is Vincent from the Metapopulation Initiative. Thank you very much for watching, and please follow our updates and show your support.